Hey, what's up guys? So since the last time, I have found some iron sand among a couple other ore veins and stuff like that. I kind of just went around and collected a bunch of different little rocks off the ground. I found a couple interesting ones, garnierite, pentlandite. Definitely really good to find. Those are for nickel, I believe. I found a couple other good ones, but yeah, the iron sand was definitely my best find here. I also killed a couple cows just to get their leather so I can make a backpack once I get there. Or once I get back, rather. I also managed to find a gold vein, so I'll be using that to the gold plate that I need for that backpack, and then I should be good for that. So I'm just going to collect some iron sand here if I can. Maybe I should block off this water because it's going to be annoying. Sometimes you'll find, I guess, better distributions of iron sand, like, properly in the beach. Sort of like what's over there, but, you know, more spread out. Definitely prefer it that way, but, you know, you can't be choosy. You just gotta take what you get sometimes. So, yeah. Definitely happy regardless that I found this. You get a fair amount of, iron from these. It's like, you get, how much, there we go. So yeah, you get 9 magnetite from 1 block, and then, where is it? I'm trying to find the recipe. Here we go. So, basically, it's 7 magnetite and, I think, it should be 3 charcoal, if I'm not mistaken. Where is it? Might be 6, but yeah, it's pretty efficient. You get a little bit more than 1 iron, not 1 iron. You get a little bit more than, 7 iron per block of black sand, so it's pretty efficient in that regard. Block off more of this water. So I'll be using that to make a lot of iron tools, and I will quickly transition to steel as well. It's very trivial to get steel. You basically just need to get an engine going, and I will be doing that with bronze, just from copper and tin, which I think I should have enough of. If not, I can relatively easily find that. I think I found some kind of limonite vein that should have the copper that I need. I don't know if I ever found a tin vein, actually. I have to look if I find cassiterite or tin. Let me see. Perhaps not. That's alright. I mean, you usually find enough tin just kind of in the ground, you know, in the sand or whatever, so perhaps I'll just do that. I try not to stay on Bronze Age stuff too much, or just bronze itself too much, because it's sort of a pain in the ass once you get iron. It's not as easily locatable, I suppose. I mean, steel is certainly somewhat annoying to deal with if you're not comfortable doing it. Not a lot of people are comfortable working with the crucible at the temperatures that steel is at. It tends to be a bit concerning to those people. This cow is like drowning over here. I don't know why he's not swimming. It's a bit special. Something you want to be careful of, by the way, with GregTech water is that it will propagate itself sort of horizontally and, most importantly, down vertically. You sort of saw it there when I was blocking off underneath. It will very rapidly fill up an area. So if you're making like an underground area that's next to a river, or if you're especially next to like an ocean, be really, really careful about allowing water to get in, because once it's in, you will have a hell of a time getting it back out. You could probably use sponges, but I don't even know if there's an easy way to get sponges. Let me see. It's an inert sponge? I don't even know what that is. Sponge? Yeah, I don't think you can easily get sponges without, I guess, guardians or, you know, an ocean temple or something, so not fun. I've had to deal with it many times. I usually end up just filling in everything with dirt and then digging it back out, and it's not an interesting or rewarding experience. But it's usually only, it's a lesson you only have to learn once, usually. After that point, you'll probably be a bit more careful about what you're doing. Of course, you'll see it. It's starting to fill in this area here. I will just completely block that off because I just don't want to deal with it. I want to get as much black sand as I can manage in this run. I was hoping to find a redstone vein to get that thermometer going, but yeah, I wasn't that lucky. You can't win them all. Hopefully I'll find one relatively soon. I don't necessarily need a thermometer. I usually only do like crafts that I can very easily see or I know the combinations of already. So for example, like bronze, I'll just only exactly use the materials that will craft into like an even number. So, you know, I'll only do like 3 copper, 1 tin, and we'll get 4 bronze out of that. And you can see the colors change. So you can kind of tell when you've hit the temperature threshold, and then you can just turn off the burning box and then do everything you need to do. With steel, it's a little more tricky, but what you can usually do is just turn off the burning box once you get to the wrought iron temperature, because I believe it's pretty close to steel. Let's see. Wrought iron should be relatively close. Where is that? Temperature 2011. Yeah, I think steel is only a little higher. It's like 2046 maybe. It'll tell you here probably. Where is it? Thermal. Sorry. I don't know. I think it's 2046. I mean, you could just tell on the steel melting point probably. Yeah, 2046. That's what you need to reach, and then you need to blow air into the crucible with an engine, and then that will get you to steel. It takes a little bit of time, so it ends up causing people some grief the first couple times they do it. But I'll show you, it's pretty easy, even if you don't have a thermometer or anything. You just kind of got to play it by eye, I guess, not ear. So yeah, I explored a fair amount, not too crazy. I kind of just did like a big cube, or a big square here, and then I did a square down here. When I noticed there was water down that direction, I went towards it, because that's generally where you'll find the iron sand. Sometimes you can find it at the interspersed mountains and stuff, but I generally have better luck with it at rivers, so that's why I went towards that. Let's see, just picking up rocks just to see if I can... What is coltan? I can't remember. It is lots of different things, like tantalum and stuff. Jeez, oh yeah, tantalum, columbite. Yeah, that's more of like a later thing. That's, I believe, after you get aluminum. Actually, yeah, that's what you need for tungsten, so that's part of the crucible upgrading process. Don't know if it's used for much else than that. I also found a slime chunk, I think. Either that or I just found some slimes underneath an area of the swamp that I was next to, right by where my temporary home is. So I just put a little waypoint on that, and I put a bunch of random waypoints for like beehives, and I think I put a waypoint down for cows, just so I know where to relatively go to grab some when I have some leads or something. They're actually much further away than I had anticipated. Ooh, diamond bearing, that's really, really good. I'm actually quite surprised I found this. I was really lucky. But I don't have redstone, which is actually usually one of the more common veins, but... Huh. I'm curious how much diamond is in that vein. 421 diamond, not too shabby. I'll definitely take that. And diamond usually spawns in graphite veins as well. Sometimes they'll just kind of be in each other's veins, but if you find like a pure diamond vein, that's really, really nice. Diamonds aren't used for it too much, but it can be a real hassle if you don't have easy access to them. You'll get gated away from certain recipes, I think, like maybe crushers or something, or shredders even. Tetrahedrite. This usually spawns... Huh. Okay, I mean, that's definitely a good copper material. I was going to say it usually spawns with redstone, but that's not true. It just looks like redstone. So my brain connected the dots there. Let me check something. I would really like a redstone vein. What can you do? I just want easier access to redstone, because I will be using some of it to potentially make a basic red power storage system. I have not ever used it before, actually, but it's, from what I have done some cursory research on, it's quite similar to logistics pipes, which I am very familiar with. And it seems like it would be a good holdover until applied energistics. So, I'm not going to go too heavy with it. I just want something that can sort of do, what would you even call it, like localized storage. Like, I'll have all my storage in one space, and then I will have that system hooked up to it so I can make requests on demand. That way I don't have to go digging through all my chests, 'cause that's not fun to watch, it's not fun to experience, so that will definitely be helpful. I actually haven't used that module of red power too much in general. I never was really into the red power pipes, like I think they're called like pneumatic tubes or something. I kind of just ignore them most of the time. I mean, I played Tech like extensively back in the day. Just pretty much as soon as it came out, I never really cared for red power. I always just did like build craft sorting systems or whatever. Actually, I don't remember when logistics pipes came out, but I never used that for a long time either. It was only in more recent versions of Minecraft that I ever cared about logistics pipes. I was always sort of a applied energistics guy. I remember when it was applied energistics 1 even, during the Agrarian Skies heyday. I like applied energistics too, though. It's really interesting. I like the channel system. I know a lot of people are not a huge fan of that, but I think it adds a certain layer of complexity, and it makes it's just more interesting to look at, I suppose, and set up. I don't really find it takes too much effort to set that up versus how it used to be, or even if you disable channels, it's not overly different, I guess, and I think it's a fair trade-off for the amount of power that you get. When I was, I guess, a little more naive, I was under the impression that channels would somehow, I guess, limit the lag that the systems would create, but as far as I have been able to tell, I don't think that's actually true. Oh, there's a lot of salt here. That's interesting. Definitely nice. I mean, you can get salt from just drying ocean water, and that's sort of something that I tend to do anyway. It's a really easy source of salt, and it lets you get distilled water as well, which is something you really, really want to be using for boilers. You can do that with like just a 2x2 of water as well. You just collect infinite water from that and get distilled water that way. But if you can get an extra little product out of it, it's nice. And salt is useful for chlorine, which is part of a lot of acid processes later on for titanium, I think plastic, and what's it called? And also for aluminum, I think it may be used for. It's a lot of coal. I'm not a huge coal guy. I just generally stick to charcoal because it's easier to just chop trees than it is to run out and grab coal out of the ground. Maybe if I end up building some railcraft infrastructure, I will use some coal just to have an excuse to like lay some tracks down here. But yeah, no, I think I'll do that maybe for farther away things. Yeah, I was looking at comatite over here. This is a rock that usually indicates, not necessarily indicates redstone, but redstone generates in that rock, I think more often, as far as I can remember. So when I see that, my attention becomes a little more focused on it, but I pretty extensively checked the rocks in this area. I was not able to find redstone, which is unfortunate. I don't even know where I am. Actually, I'm pretty close to my house. Yeah, you don't want to touch this swamp water. I may have just screwed myself here. I'll just do that. Yeah, you can... you'll see this bunny is suffering the effects. Or maybe he's just drowning. But the swamp water gives you, like, nausea. It gives you hunger. It might even poison you after a certain amount of time. I don't really remember, but definitely not good to be pulling around in, at the very least. It's very sad. I wish I had a local vein of redstone. I'm sure I could probably dig down into the earth and just dig it out at, like Y level 12 or something, but who wants to do strip mining? Really, it's not fun. I'd rather just find a vein for it and be able to dig out hundreds of it at a time. Not have to worry about it for a while, but oh well. I might have to resort to it. The bright side, I think it might end up allowing me to find some like nickelite or something, which is useful for red power as far as I know. There's a lot of turf here. Can't remember if that is like useful for peat or something. Not this peat, but the peat from Greg or Biomedes peat. Huh. I think there's a way to do peat with GregTech, but I never really paid too much attention to it. Maybe he doesn't have a system. Oops. Turf. Affects walk speed. Oh, okay. The turf itself is fuel, huh? That's interesting. What is mud useful for? Mud. Not recipe, but use. Mud balls. You can turn it into dirt. Bog earth. Huh, okay, that's pretty cool. I think you can also make bog earth just from sand, though. Interesting. Yeah, I think turf is supposed to be like an equivalent to peat or something, but I've never really dabbled in that. Maybe it'd be interesting to make a system. I don't know, if there's a way to convert things into turf, I could try to make a system for that. Because it seems like it's a really, really good fuel. 40 items is close to like a block of coal, I think. Comatite here. I'm getting hope for redstone, but I have a feeling I'm going to be disappointed here. Come on, don't disappoint me. I mean, I can't be too upset. I definitely found some good veins already. I found most of the good metals. I also found like a magnesium vein, I think, which is, if I recall, it's good for stainless steel. Just double check. Stainless. What is this? Chromium, nichrome. Oh, manganese. Did I find manganese? Oh no, I found magnesium, I think. So I was magnesite. So I didn't find manganese, which I still need to find. It's from a... Manganese is from a vein that is like completely unrelated. Like it doesn't have a name that makes you think of manganese when you find it, I think. I have to look up which one it is. I know it if I see it, but I just don't remember it off the top of my head. Usually you only need one of those, though. It's not super hard to get. Come on. Don't screw me on this. I really just want redstone, man. Come on. Make my life a little bit easier. Okay, well, maybe I'll end up showing how to do all these things without a thermometer. That's fine. It's not a huge deal. Tight. Malachite, that is a form of copper. Green schist. Not interested. Come on, man. More malachite. That's yellow limonite. I think that's also copper. Pretty sure I've already checked a lot of the stones around this area. So I saw comatite and my neurons were activated, but yeah, no, I don't think I'm gonna get it because I don't think these ores spawn close together most of the time. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think there's many more stones to turn here. That's alright. Just head back empty-handed from redstone. So yeah, I will start working on that, I don't remember what I was even going out for. Oh yeah, I'll start doing iron refining, because that's going to be one of the processes that you need to really, really familiarize yourself with, because you'll be doing it a lot, and you'll probably end up automating it as well. and I'll definitely show how to do that. It's not too complicated. It's just a bit unusual. It'll be using some GregTech machines and some interactions with those. Salt. And, of course, I'm not lucky enough to get what I actually want. I mean, once again, the black sand rather is definitely a good find. It's not super uncommon, but yeah, if you don't get any rivers, then you can easily get screwed on that. This is a completely different rock strata here. Don't think I'm going to find redstone. Yeah, I planted these rubber saplings. These came from the GregTech chest that I found from that dungeon last time. Place my bed down. Oh, I should not place it this close, actually. GregTech burning boxes do have like a range of ignition for certain things, so if there's anything burnable, that I guess trapdoors I think are fine, but things that are properly combustible that would normally have fire on them and then eventually burn away will get ignited and destroyed. Even certain fluid pipes. But what you can sort of do, and what I tend to do, is I'll use like big wooden fluid pipes or just any size fluid pipes that are made of wood. And if I'm using a fluid burning box for my crucible or whatever, I will just surround it with either non-combustible, just any block that's not combustible. And sometimes what I'll do is take what do you call it, glass, not slabs, but the forged micro blocks things. They're like the ones that are basically like 1 pixel thick. What are they called? Not facades, but they're like these things. They're like covers or something. I don't know. But yeah, they're essentially like 1 pixel tall. And I just put them on all sides of the pipe. That way I can see the pipe, but it can't be burned because there's nowhere for the actual fire to spread on it. It's a little bit, I don't know. I wouldn't consider it cheaty or anything, but you can make your own judgment, I suppose. Let me lay this sugarcane over here. Sugarcane isn't hugely important or anything, but if I figured I might as well grab it because I can't remember if it was actually used for anything that I needed. So it's just good to have a little bit of everything in case. I'll probably have to make a couple more chests here. So I split that stack of spruce wood in my inventory for some reason. Always good to see. Yeah, be really careful about wooden chests next to those. I'm almost positive they will ignite, which you definitely do not want. Your items will go everywhere. Just make like an organic chest here, I suppose. Put all my seeds and my saplings and all that good stuff just in there. I'll have to decide if I want to stay here or not. If this is ocean water, I may stay here. Actually, what biome is this? Can I see? It's beach biome. Okay. This actually is kind of beneficial. Hotter biomes will cause your crucible to have a higher innate starting heat. So it's not like a huge boost or anything, but it'll give you a little bit of I guess fuel efficiency because you're not going to be using it to heat up that initial amount. Where you settle doesn't necessarily matter all too much. You can make an infinite water source basically anywhere. You can't do it with the ocean water. You have to make the infinite water source out of like river water essentially. So keep that in mind. Be mindful of it. But other than that, it's not a huge deal. You can turn this into distilled water just fine. It just takes more time, and consequently, it'll give you more out of it. You can do like the recipe with more ocean water. So technically, you're getting the same amount in the same duration of time if you were to measure it in a longer duration. But yeah, just you get salt out of it as well, so it's kind of beneficial. What was I gonna do? Oh yeah, I need to do the iron process. Okay. I'll just make a bunch of iron probably. I don't know. How much do I want to make? I have to decide. I'm gonna see if I can make bronze stuff just from the get-go. How much iron, copper, and tin do I have? Tin, 5, 6. Okay. So I can make So I can make 24 bronze. I already made this burning box. Okay. Let me look up what it takes to make a boiler. So I'll make a bronze boiler. Actually, I should have kept that burning box. What I'll do is actually make a fluid burning box for the crucible. Do a liquid bronze burning box. Something you may not encounter at first, but good to keep in mind is that just because two things are made out of the same material does not mean they're inherently... I mean, everything is technically compatible, I guess, but it doesn't necessarily mean they have like the same working stats, if that makes sense. So you'll see here the energy in for this boiler is 24 heat units. This energy out is 24 heat units, so those are fine. You won't ever have any problems in that regard with this boiler. But certain materials might have mix-matched stats. I think chromium may be an example of that. Let me see, where's chromium? So this is 96 heat units, 192 steam. Let's see. Where's the chromium one? There it is. Yeah, so this burning box is 112 heat units. So if you use this burning box with the chromium boiler, which only requires 96, you will very likely run into problems. You can always... just don't risk it. You can make systems that will kind of regulate your boilers, but it's best if you try to match it up if you can. Sometimes you might not have the materials for it, and then you can set that kind of system up. But for the most part, just stick to stuff that is directly one-to-one. You know, the numbers are exactly the same. That way, you minimize the risk of explosions, because boilers especially are quite nasty when you don't do what they want. So keep that in mind. Oh yeah, I need to... So for charcoal, I need a coke oven. That may require just... I think that requires iron. Coke oven and then fire bricks. So yeah, this does require a fair amount of iron. You could make the railcraft one, which doesn't require that. But I like the GregTech one. It tends to give better return on the creosote specifically. You probably get more creosote out of whatever you're doing. It also does 16 times as much in one go. So, I mean, it takes a little more initially, but over time, I think the GregTech one is more efficient overall. The only thing is that it requires ignition to start it. So if you're the type of person that's going to be like starting and stopping it all the time, maybe it's not the best for you, and you can just use the railcraft one. But just for the purposes of, I guess, respecting the balance and everything, I'll just use that one. And also just to showcase it in case you don't have GregTech yourself. Or in case you don't have railcraft, rather. Because not everyone's going to be playing with that. Oh yeah, I need a wooden bucket. Not... there we go. An empty wooden bucket. That should only require, a bronze plate. Can I make that? I sure can. So I'll do that. And it'll be a good opportunity for me to show off the burning boxes as well as fire starters, because those are always fun. Let me just get some wood. Just turn all this into wood. Screw it. Shouldn't be too much. It's just going to be the one plate of copper, or not copper, bronze. So that goes in. You just throw it in. You'll see it's there at the bottom, and you can right-click it back out if you want to. That's the plate mold there. Alright, we should be good. I will put my planks in here and try to ignite it. That failed, so like flint and steel and fire starters have a certain chance of igniting a fire. For now, it's better to just use fire starters, I think, because they're easy to craft and they have 50%. Oh, I'm getting exceptionally unlucky here. Oh my god. Come on. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it's really up to you how you do it. Oh, also, you want to keep something in your hand to snuff out that fire, just in case. So yeah, this is... You can see here why I put this slab here. This prevents you from actually directly touching the crucible, because if you did, you'd end up taking damage. And also, when you pour out the molds, you have to be careful not to touch those as well, because while they're cooling down, they will be hot and you will take damage if you walk into them. But for now, we're just waiting for that bronze to cook up. It'll take a little while. The way the crucible works, oh, there we go. The way the crucible works is that it has a thermal mass inherent to it, so it itself requires a certain amount of energy to heat up, and the material inside also determines how quickly it'll heat up. So just because it was one little piece of bronze, it wasn't too much of a problem. But if I had thrown in, if I filled this crucible all the way up with 16 things, which is its maximum limit, then it would have taken quite a long time, depending on what the material was as well. Like, if I threw 16 tungsten in there, that would have taken ages and ages and ages to heat up. And I wouldn't have even done that with that kind of burning box. That would have just been ridiculous. There's higher tier burning boxes that you can switch this out with to make that process a little bit easier once you get up to those more dense materials. But even stuff like gold, you'll definitely notice is way, way harder to heat up than just something like bronze or even iron. So keep that in mind. And you'll notice I put this the sand in front of the burning box. That was to prevent it from continuing to heat up, because if you heat this crucible up to a certain temperature, it's like 2500 Kelvin, it will vaporize the crucible. Anything inside of it will be destroyed, and you will almost certainly die. Your items will probably be fine, but you will not be. It's definitely good not to do that. The burning box at least will stay, so you won't lose the burning box or anything, but yeah, just be careful when doing that. You want something to put in front of the crucible, or not the crucible, the burning box. So sand is good, glass is good. What I'll end up doing is having like a little piston here that will just move a piece of glass up and down, or a piece of sand if you don't have slime balls or glue. You just push the sand up, and then when you pull the piston down, it'll just cause the sand to fall. That's good, but I like having glass so you can see the state of the burning box. And something to keep in mind is solid burning boxes do not instantly turn off when you put something in front of them. That has bitten a lot of people in the ass, and it's not necessarily intuitive as to why. But basically the reason it works that way is because the fuel is still burning, technically, theoretically, with Greg's intentions, that's how it is. The fuel is still burning, so until it exhausts that one piece of fuel, you will still get that thing burning. And what I really should have done is just let that fuel burn until it was completely gone before I poured this material out, because you can use the material inside there to soak up the excess heat before you pour it out. It's not really a huge problem because I was just using wood, but if I was using something better, if I was using charcoal in there, for example, which you definitely don't want to do, you want to use like charcoal nuggets or whatever. Or yeah, you can turn this into it doesn't necessarily, I don't think it says it here, but you can turn this charcoal brick into nuggets, and those are like individual, I think they have like a value of 1 or something, like 0.88, so definitely do not put high tier fuels in here unless you really, really know what you're doing, or you're doing like a really dense material or a lot of one material, maybe steel or something, because if you mess up, you'll lose all your materials, and it's just not worth the headache. So try to stick to wood or charcoal pellets. Really not a huge deal to craft those, I would say. But as soon as you can, you want to probably switch this over to a liquid burning box anyway, and you can just pump your creosote that you'll get from your coke oven directly into there. So yeah, that's a little tip from me, is to use the materials that are in there to soak up the excess heat while you burn off your last piece of fuel. And you'll just put the sand, or if you're using glass, you'll just put it in front of there and you just watch the front of that until it burns out, and then you can safely pour everything. And a little bonus for that is you'll get some, extra time to pour everything out that you need to before it solidifies. All the excess heat will keep the stuff a little hotter, so that you can do that. So we have our bronze plate here. I can make the bucket now. Oh, come on. Is it a copper plate? Maybe it was a copper. Oh, no, I need a hammer. There we go. And what I can do with this is make an infinite water source. Actually, I'll use this to... I don't even want to risk it. I feel like I remember that not being easy to get rid of if you end up having ocean water in a bucket. So I'll just run over here and get some water. Once I get a dryer set up, then I will use the ocean water. That way I can get the... What's it called? Oh, I won't use this water because it's swamp water. That way I can get the salt out of the ocean water at least, then it won't be a huge problem. Yeah, on the dryer setup, I will use... yeah, it's real water. Yeah, you can't place ocean water down on the ground, as far as I can remember, so that's part of the problem with those. So you just get like river water and come bring it over, and then you'll have an infinite source. But yeah, the dryer setup for converting just water in general into distilled water, you can use charcoal and stuff for that, because there's no really any risk with that. It just, it'll just use fuel until you decide to turn the burning box off. So that's usually what I pump my solid fuels into. I'll use, not my solid fuels, but my good fuels, and also, yeah, solid fuels in the beginning. I will usually use the creosote as a liquid fuel for my crucible. That way I have instant control over when it turns off. And then I also will pump the solid fuels like charcoal and stuff into boilers and stuff like dryers that don't have as much risk. I mean, boilers do have risk, but it's usually pretty easy to manage them versus a crucible. So yeah, now I have access to a water bucket. Or not water bucket, but just fresh water in general. I could put it in here. This will allow me to make baguettes now. So I can start removing some sand. Not sand, I'll collect some dirt rather. That way I can make a farm for wheat. And then I could transition to baguettes, because those are really fantastic food. Easily the best food in the game. Let me just collect a bunch of dirt here. Actually, I could probably just level an area over there, and then just plant, like a 9x9 of wheat or whatever I want to do. Probably makes more sense to do it that way than any other way. Let's see, is there a nice clear area? Put my knife. Take this out. Actually, I kind of like the way this area looks. I'm very tempted to just live here. It doesn't seem too bad overall. I have easy access to ocean water for salt and stuff. I have these nice trees around. And the area is more or less easy enough to build on. I won't have to level too much. Maybe I'll respect the level of the land even when I build my factories, just because it kind of has a neat little natural, I don't know what to call it, incline to all the buildings and everything, so we'll see. I'm not much of a builder, but I can certainly make an effort to do those kinds of things. Let me count out some blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright. This should be good. I will plant wheat there for now. And if I get carrots and potatoes, maybe I'll add them, just do rows, because I think Minecraft crops grow better in like single rows with other plants adjacent to them. Do I have other seeds here? I do have other seeds here. Alright, I can make a hoe. I think, I'll make a regular Minecraft hoe. I don't think I can make it out of... I don't think there are GregTech hoes even. Oh, there are. Wow. Okay. I was incorrect about that. So I will just use this then. No sense making it out of red granite. It's not something I'm going to be using very much. So, once I have it, it should be fine. Shit. Get rid of that. Go away. Just keep making them until I'm done. I'll probably fence this area off, and then I'll make some more fences to house animals. I'll just make like a pen for cows and a pen for sheep, and maybe some for chickens as well. I don't remember if I had mentioned it before, but you have to be really careful with mob cramming. In GregTech, there's a setting, you could disable it if you want to, but I prefer just leave it on. It basically makes it so that you don't, you can't put as many animals into the same space as normal. I know it's a vanilla Minecraft mechanic, but Greg makes it like much more strict. So you have to be cautious about how many animals you put into one spot, because it can lead to all of your animals dying. And for some reason, like, chickens tend to be more prone to it. I don't know why. Like, every time I've ever played this, my chickens end up like going to one corner of their pen or whatever, and then they all just die. Mobs are just stupid in Minecraft. What can you do? Something to keep in mind though for when you're playing. Put some more seeds down, and then I will be good. Should have more, just a little over what I needed for this. That's not too shabby. Get this blue shit out of my inventory. Alright, yeah, I'll turn these into grass bales. Come on, give me the crafting recipe. Okay. Well, what did it say? I was actually curious what this says. Grass. Oh, you can use a sense, which is like a scythe, to get this. I think there's another way to get grass, but I don't remember. There we go. Just make it easy for me. Put this away. Put these candles away. Oh, something, I don't remember if I mentioned it when I did it, but holy shit, okay. Well, that was a nice surprise. Get him out of here. So I have to knock back on it. Jesus, I need to put some torches around this area just to prevent that from happening again. That could have ended in disaster, to say the least. Maybe put this at the very bottom. Or I should put it there. Whew. Maybe put these things there. So yeah, what I was going to say is that burning boxes, when you burn solid fuel, you end up with ashes that come out of it. And if that fills up with 64 ashes, it'll just not ignite anymore, and it'll turn itself off, just regardless of what's going on. And so you need to make a system that can take the ashes out and just take them somewhere else. So what you have a couple options. What I usually do is just put like a hopper into a GregTech barrel, and I will put a block of ashes, just to show what that will look like. Are they in my inventory? They are in my inventory. So yeah, you can use these to make concrete box meter. So yeah, 9 of these little ashes will make a big ash, and then a big ash will make a block of ash. Can I find what it looks like? Yeah, block of ashes. Here we go. So if you take this block of ashes and you put it in a barrel, any lower tier of ash, so like small piles or just regular piles of ashes, will sort of be auto-crafted into this internally. You just pump them right in. It will automatically preserve them. And if you break the barrel, you'll get out whatever was remaining. So it's really nice. It's a good way to compress them. There's also like an ash chute or something. I can't remember what it's called. It's like it's an item specifically designed for it. I don't usually bother with it because it's kind of redundant with the hopper into the barrel method. Because you end up needing a barrel underneath it anyway, or like a chest, so it's like, what's the point? You might as well just use a hopper. I don't think it's even like materially less expensive. I think it may even be more expensive, but I mean, either way, it's just, yeah, no point. So, something to keep in mind as well. Yeah, so I have the bucket. I need fire bricks. That's what I made this bucket for. So I need, let me remember, 3x3x3 hollow, so 25 fire bricks. So I need 26 fire bricks total, because this one uses a fire brick. What's 4 times 26? It's 80, and then 24, so 104. Okay, it's like a little over a stack, and then I also need clay. Okay, I need a lot of clay. I probably need a mortar. So I guess I'll make iron, because I need a piece of iron for the mortar. So let me get that prepared. I will get 9 magnetite, and then I will... Oh, I don't have charcoal. How do you get clay powder without... Oh, you might be able to smash it on an anvil. Can't remember. Mortar. You must be able to make a mortar without iron, right? That is a mystery. I can't remember how I did this in the past, to be honest. So iron. And this also requires iron. So you must be able to make iron without, or maybe you can make charcoal without that. Can you just make charcoal in a furnace? Am I stupid? Oh. Coke oven? Charcoal brick. Let me just make sure I'm not being stupid. Yeah, no, you can't do that. Okay. Charcoal. Oh, you can use coal to make iron, so maybe I have to use coal for that initially. Well, that's a little annoying, but at least I have a coal vein. That's all. That's about as much as I can say for that. I'll go to that coal vein. Where is it? Coal. Shouldn't be too far. Oh, let me take my bed with me just in case. So yeah, this little compass will show me the way. Let me make some torches out of my dry grass, just in case I have to dig for a little while. We're good to go. Oh, the GregTech rubber trees grew. Okay, so this little hole is what I was referring to, I think in the first episode that I did. You basically will put like a little, I think I marked it here, a resin bag, and you just right click it against that, and it will sit there and collect resin eternally, and then you can just take the resin out of that. It's really, really good. It's way better than the IC2 method, and like I said, the trees, I think, look way nicer. Oh, and these are the trees that I also was talking about that drop a large amount of twigs when you break them, little sticks. So if you're low on sticks and you don't really feel like crafting your wood into sticks for some reason, you can just use those. Or if that's all you have, then, you know, good use for it. This comatite is definitely taunting me without showing me any redstone veins. I don't know why this turned red. Just 'cause I'm close to it? I have no idea. Interesting. Okay. So yeah, I'll use my first iron will just be going to the coke oven. That way a subsequent iron can be made out of just charcoal, because it's just substantially easier, and you can sort of see why. Let's try myself trapped through the swamp. I have to cut through the leaves to get out. A real dungeon explorer, or a real jungle explorer, rather. It's more of a swamp, I guess, but... Okay, where is the coal? I don't remember picking up coal from here, but... Oh, I did. Alright, let me clear tracker. Okay. Shouldn't be too far. Actually, it's right there. Look at that. Okay. Anthracite coal. I should be able to use this. I think I can smash it on the anvil, yeah, and that will give me coal. If I throw it in, it's worth a little bit more than normal. Okay. Yeah, it's worth a little more than a unit's worth of carbon, so the math may end up coming out a little weird on that, but it's fine. I'm not too worried about it. I don't need a huge amount. I think I'll just get like 20 and that should be fine. I think you get more than one out of this even, and it'll give you more with fortune, so actually it's a good opportunity for me to explain something really quickly. So certain materials in GregTech, specifically like flint, you'll notice, or if I show you a recipe to make like a tool out of it, maybe, or usually it's on the material itself. I don't know why it's not showing on the flint, but like if I show you solarium, you'll see it has like a possible tool enchant there, so you can either get fortune 2 or looting 2. It's not super direct as to how that works, but basically if you make a tool out of one of those, you will get that enchantment just on that tool if it is applicable. So, you know, if you make a pickaxe out of solarium, it'll just innately have fortune 2. They're not enchantable normally, so that's the only way to, I guess, get enchanted GregTech tools. But I think it's a really a much better system of doing that. So, you know, if you are interested in specific enchantments, just look for, I don't know if you can search specifically for like looting No, you can't. You kind of just have to know, I guess. But I can tell you, Solarium is definitely really good for getting fortune and looting. It's basically just soul sand and gold, so it's accessible basically as soon as you get lava. And lava, you just dig down for that, or you can look for an 82 meteor. I think I found, yeah, there's one right here that I can go and get a bunch of lava from. So once you have iron buckets, you just go and grab a bunch of lava, you go to the nether, and then you'll have access to Solarium. That will substantially increase your ore gain, because I think all the GregTech ores allow you to do that. So you just carry around some, Solarium tools or whatever, and you will be able to make good use of that. Also, something you can do is use dynamite. Where is it? Where is it? GregTech dynamite. So, I think there's 2 tiers. Okay, yeah. So there's 2 tiers of GregTech dynamite, but you'll see it has blast fortune level of 5. So that means that it has fortune 5 on whatever ores you manage to break with that dynamite. You'll see the blast ranges on these are the exact same. I think the only difference is the blast power. So the strong dynamite will let you blow through, like red granite and stuff easier, or maybe it was the only way you can blow through it. I've never really actually used that dynamite. I kind of always forget that it exists after a while. Maybe this time I'll try to make up a little system for it. I don't think it's overly complicated to get. It's just stringing dynamite dust, I guess. And dynamite dust is any wood pulp, which you'll get from like your sawmill or whatever, into mix that with glycerol. And I think, yeah, you can make that with sulfuric acid, nitric acid, and glycerol. Not to go down into these crafting trees too much, but this is a byproduct from distilling biomass, which you'll end up doing for biofuel if you go down that path. So maybe I'll do that. I sort of thinking, when I was just walking around before exploring off camera, I was thinking about doing a farm system that uses like auto right clickers to right click on GregTech berry bushes just to get the berries off, because you can do these through the entire biofuel process. You just throw them through a squeezer. You'll get fruit juice and plant wax, or maybe not candleberries, but I can do it with the other kinds of berries. Let me go look. What other kind of berry? So like red currants, if you throw them through a squeezer, or you could juice them by hand, but obviously you want to do machines. You'll get the currant juice and then fruit remains, and you use the fruit remains in a fermenter. And if you use anything that's like derived from a different, I guess, creature, either a different creature or like a different, like a plant, basically. Anything that requires some sort of process, it will give you more biomass. So if you use that fruit juice that you got from squeezing the berry, you'll get more biomass. And then you just use that biomass in a... You can either use it in a distillery, or you can throw it into a distillation tower and you'll get a lot better stuff out of it. Definitely recommend doing it this way if you can afford it. Distillation towers are a bit expensive, so you might not be able to access that, but you can even just do it in the distillery, the regular distillery, and it should be fine enough. And that gives you some good fuels that you can run through engines. A little bit more advanced than the tier we're at, but it's an interesting idea, I think. It might be fun to do right clicker. I think there is like an auto clicker or red power, or it's probably red now. I think there's some sort of thing that will allow me to right click. Maybe the block placer will allow me to do it. Or I might be able to... I'll have to see if like a GregTech... What are they called? Hoppers can suck the berries out of those. What is going on here? Hello? Oh, it's because I threw stone... Okay, yeah. You have to be careful about throwing these on the ground, because they will just place themselves depending on what's already there. That's kind of annoying. I forgot about that. So yeah, if you throw like scraps, or just stuff that you get from like broken tools and stuff, if you throw them on the ground, they'll just place themselves onto the ground. I guess I can just toss them over here. I'm like littering my own world. Should install like a... What do you call it? Like a trash slot mod. I'll just throw them over here for now. Then throw them somewhere else when I feel like it. There are trash cans, but I don't have the obsidian to make them. It's like a GregTech recipe that requires obsidian, of course. So what was I even there for? Coal. So yeah, what you can do with this, normally you would run this through like a processing system to crush it, but what I'm just going to do is hammer it on an anvil, which is essentially the same. I think it might be a little less materially efficient. Yeah, it loses a little efficiency, I think, in your output potentially, but what can you do? It's not a huge problem. You get so much coal. How do I not craft these? I must be able to craft these. Ah, yeah, okay. So, let me double check how much coal I need for this. This is worth 5 carbon. And carbon, let me look at the recipe for iron. I usually don't do this with coal, so I'm not as familiar with the process. So I need 3 carbon. And 14 for 6. Okay. I always thought the output was 4. I just don't remember it that well, I guess. So, 14, 3 gets you 6. Okay. It's not too bad. Let me double check how much you get from this 5 tiny. That's not... That's kind of annoying that you get 5 tiny. That means that my count will be a little off, but... you know, once again, what can you do? I'll try to even that out. So if I put in 4, I will end up with 5. And that's definitely interesting. 7. I prefer doing it with charcoal because I think it's worth like half carbon. Yeah. It is worth half a carbon. That's why it's so much better as well. You don't have to deal with like all the tiny pieces. I almost swear you could turn this into something else, but maybe not. You could shred it, but I don't think you can do anything else. Oh, you can actually. I can hammer it down into coal dust. How much is that worth in the crucible? Looks like it's... Oh, okay. That's better. Yep, I'll do it that way then. Yeah, normally you would wash this in like a cauldron. Just like a vanilla cauldron. You fill it with water and then you throw it in and it will wash it and you'll get some byproducts. And that is reflected in the... Where is it? Is there a washing recipe here? Sluice. It's not the sluice. It'll be a different... Washing. I mean, it's similar to this, I guess. It might be easier to show it. This zinc recipe. Yeah, it's similar to the... Oh, not that. Maybe it is the sluice. I could be wrong. It's not as good as the sluice if you do it in the cauldron, but... yeah, you don't get the byproducts of sluice juice, and I think you don't get as many of these byproducts, but it's definitely a good intermediate step, and also this is a good intermediate step for getting like more out of your ores. But you definitely want to be going to machines like as soon as you can manage it. So, you know, once again, something to keep in mind. I'm only going to make a couple. Just turn all this in, and then I'm going to go this way. So yeah, each of these is worth half. So I might need to do one more. And of course, I don't have a hammer. Let me make a new hammer. Yeah, I will be upgrading to iron and steel tools very shortly, because I hate having to do this way. Come on, here we go. Where did that go? Oh, it's literally in my inventory. Okay. We smash this, and I should have, yep, coal dust. So that should be good. I can make 6 with this. It's, I don't know why it's, oh no, that's not the same kind. Yeah, I'll just use this recipe. So you can do 7 and 3 and you'll get 3 iron ingots, or you can do 14 and 6 coal dust, or just charcoal pieces and you'll get 6. So I'll do that. I'll do 14. It won't evenly mix. Actually, I probably should just do this the easiest way possible, just to showcase this. So I'll do 7. Oh, that's coal dust. Whoops. I'll do 3 and 7. Just to show it. Okay. So yeah, this is like the minimum sort of mix that you can do. And just the reason I'm not going to do it with like 14 and 6 is because the Crucible has an internal size limit, or like material limit of 16 just units of anything. So if I were to throw 14 magnetite in, I would only be able to get 2 charcoal, or coal rather, to actually go into that sort of real, I don't even know how you call it, like real buffers. Like you'd see all those materials here, and then the rest of the charcoal would sort of sit, or the rest of the coal in this case would sit in an internal buffer that you don't see, and it doesn't get affected by heat. And it would only get to mix after I had already started pouring things out. And the reason that's a problem is because anything that is not properly mixed yet, so in this case it would have been the magnetite, it would liquefy and it would sit on top and you wouldn't be able to see anything underneath it. Whereas if you do it in like a perfect mix, you'll see the actual result reflected in there. It's definitely best to do even amounts, and that was sort of what I was talking about with like bronze before. So if you did the same thing with bronze, if you put in an incorrect ratio of copper and tin, you would see the same thing. You wouldn't get the you wouldn't be able to see the bronze when it was being created. You would only see tin, for example, if that was like what you had an excess of, or you'd only see copper if that's what you had an excess of. You just have to be really, really careful with those kinds of things. Yeah, I'm just getting wood because I'm going to need a fair amount of fuel to get this process started. I thought I had made an axe out of red granite. I did not. Definitely better to make it out of this because it has more durability, more speed, and yeah, I mean that's all the benefit, I guess, for that. There we go. How much wood did I get? Oh, trying to see which column is not the actual highest. It's this one. Okay. It's probably a good assumption to make anyway that the middle is the biggest column. Oh, it looks like my wheat is starting to come up, so that's definitely good. I'll be able to show the process of making baguettes soon, because that once you get that, you are basically set for food. You just go back every once in a while to collect your wheat. This should be enough. Can't wait till I get saws, because yeah, the wood gain from this is pitiful. Do shit. Just throw this in here so they don't stick themselves onto the ground. Alright, 3-7, and I have this. Alright. Spruce planks. And where is, I have to get some grass. Take this actually. I think you can use this. Yeah, you can use this grass in the burning box, and I don't actually think you get ashes when you burn this. It just burns completely away, so that's definitely an option. But unless you're using a 100% efficiency burning box, it may not really be worth your time. You'll end up just having to like constantly throw more fuel in, unless you have like an automatic system to like feed that. Oh, whoops! Did not put any fuel in there, so it didn't light. You have to have something to ignite, and also I didn't put anything in there. Definitely good to have your materials in before you start lighting it. Okay. I'm just being stupid here. Do I have wood in my inventory? Just give this back. There we go. Alright. I'll let that simmer for a moment, because once again the density of the materials in there is going to prevent it from heating up too rapidly. Sort this stuff out. Get these torches away. I don't know why I have torches like scattered around my inventory. I think it's probably an NEI thing. It just sort of like shifts all my stuff around randomly. Put this down while I'm waiting. So yeah, the burning box will take a little while. Close that out. There we go. So yeah, this will take a little bit. I'm sure I have enough fuel in there. It's just a matter of waiting for the materials inside to heat up. But I'll show the whole process of this, and then I'll cut it after that, just so that I have a nice clean process here to showcase. I'll go all the way up to wrought iron, so it'll be at a higher temperature. It'll essentially, wrought iron and iron are interchangeable for virtually everything, at least in GregTech, and it may even work that way for like a lot of vanilla recipes, because GregTech tries to integrate into as much as possible, and it'll probably work for a lot of modded recipes, but Just double check your recipe to make sure it accepts wrought iron. For the most part, it's best just, go straight to wrought iron if you can manage it, because it's at least a better tool material. If I look at iron, and then I scroll to where the tools are, there's a lot of stuff in iron here. So wrought iron, and that's pig iron. I don't think you can even make pig iron in this. Maybe I'm wrong. Just looking for like an iron ingot. I can show it here. So regular iron has a quality of 2, a speed of 6, and a durability of 256. Wrought iron has a little bit more durability. I think the same speed. Basically, you just get a little bit more durability, and all it takes... Oh, we're already there. So that's regular iron. Whoops. That's how regular iron looks, and that is the melting point of 1811 there. Kelvin, not Celsius. Raw iron is a little more red than this. Just have to be patient. It's you're trying to like keep an eye on that. It's like a very subtly different color. You have to be careful not to exceed that point too quickly. Actually, I may have even hit that point just now. Oh, okay, no, I'm gonna get away. That means that the crucible is getting really, really hot. Yeah, I didn't even see the color change. It happened so quickly because there was a very small amount of iron actually in there. There was only 3 ingots worth of iron. So, yeah, definitely be careful. I will be casting this. I need to see what I need for this. I need little rods. That is the rod mold there. Oh, that's the long rod mold. Shit, I don't think I need those. Oh well, it's fine. So yeah, that made 3 units of iron, so I can make 2 little rods, a plate, and I guess I'll get a long rod out of it, and that'll be everything. That's just half a unit of iron. So yeah, be careful. I almost exceeded that point just now. And you'll see I got a bunch of ashes from that, and I used 30 wood for that, so quite a lot. That's why it's good to have a thermometer. But, you know, if you pay attention, unlike me, you'll be fine. Yeah, basically the difference in color for between iron and raw iron is just subtly different. So, be careful. Just keep an eye on it. Don't get distracted like I was doing. It's easier to tell for steel, at least. Steel gets like blood red almost, so it's much easier to tell. But yeah, raw iron and iron are a little more interchangeable. But yeah, like I was saying, raw iron has a little more durability, and the only difference when you make it is just that you let it heat up to the melting point of wrought iron, which is 2011, and then you'll basically get free durability on whatever you make out of it. So definitely nice. Okay. It's just checking if that mold was safe to stand on. All these should be fine as well. There we go. What is that for? Smelted iron ingot. Okay, sure. So that is sort of the iron pathway, if you want to call it that. That's how you get your iron. You can also do it with hematite, but it is really annoying to do it with hematite. You have to get like way more stuff for it. You get hematite dust. You get limestone or calcite, which is just from limestone. You throw that into a crucible and you'll get like some amount of limestone, or not limestone, you get some amount of calcite units out of a thing of limestone. It's like, for like one little pebble of limestone, you'll get 9 nuggets worth of calcite, which is a little odd. Actually, I think you get 10 even, which is even more strange. I prefer just to do it with black sand. It's so much easier. You only need the carbon source, and then you need the charcoal. Or no, you need the black sand, obviously. It's much easier. So you have options, but I would definitely recommend doing black sand if you have it available.